Derek, what's going on, my friend?
How's it going, Emily? Good to see you
All
as
good
always.
things. Good to see you. Super excited to have you here. I mean, we're doing something completely different with Blockchain Brunch. So, guys, what we'd love to do is start introducing you to our candidates. There's a ton of people out there in the crypto recruiter world that need help finding their next position. So, my goal is to start introducing them to you. If you're hiring, feel free to reach out to our candidates. No need to bring us into it. We genuinely want you to be successful with the right team. So I brought Derek on with us. He's the senior fintech executive. I like the branding there, Derek. And I want you to tell us a little bit about your experience. Let's dive right into it. What do you do, Derek?
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and I think it's a great new addition to what you are doing, you and your team are doing. And I'm just very, very happy to be and blessed to be on it. So thank you, Emily. So for the better part of the past decade, I've been the executive vice president of CoinSource. We are a Bitcoin ATM company, started with just one kiosk in Las Vegas. And we expanded to 2,200 locations in 46 states with a complete exclusivity in New York with the BIT license. We're the only non-billion-dollar company that was granted the BIT license, so huge accomplishment there. I spearheaded all the sales, business development, and marketing for the company. And it took us to a $120 million valuation from a little bootstrap startup. And it's been quite a ride, we'll put it that way. So I've loved the fact that I've been so deeply involved in Web3 and fintech for as long as I have. I've given arguably over 24 keynote speeches now on Bitcoin, specifically crypto, fintech, how to monetize a blockchain-based company, how to diversify your financial portfolio as either an independent sales operator, such as like the traditional ATM industry and that wants to get into the Bitcoin ATM industry, or even just as like an individual investor, to where anybody can own their own Bitcoin ATM network. We built out this awesome franchise model to where your basic entrepreneur, retirees, anybody that just wants some passive income could get into the game. So I was also really, really helpful as far as educating and spreading awareness as far as how you can make money in crypto outside of just holding on to it, or should I say hodling on to it.
I see what you did there. We have a comment from Kevin saying, love that y'all are talking about two industries I'm most interested in, crypto and fintech. Whoop, that's what we're all about. Derek, throughout your time at CoinSource, I guess throughout your career, what has been your favorite job responsibility? What do you love coming to work and doing?
Team building has been just one of my passions for a long time. My pedigree, actually, before I jumped into fintech, was customer relationship management. So I've always had a very sales-centric role, and for 15, 16 years at a senior executive level. And, part of that is building sales teams, building BD teams. With CoinSource, I actually, being number 3 in the company out of over 100 employees, wore a lot of hats. So that involved even recruiting. I'd say a little bit of HR even. So to be able to source talent and grow talent and just be there and see the passion in their eyes, see the hunger that they've got from day one, but see the passion in their eyes as they learn more about this relatively still very new industry and new technology, and being able to see just how it happened to me. They drank the Kool-Aid, right? They latched onto it, and they just they want to know more. They want to grow with the company. They want to grow in the industry from a knowledge base and an experience level. And so being people-centric has always been key for me, just because without quality relationships, whether that's your own staff, your colleagues, or strategic relationships outside of your own company, it's just priceless and just beyond valuable.
Yeah, I love that. Recruiting is what I do for a living, and I feel the exact same way. Now, kind of flipping the script when it comes to things you don't like, least favorite responsibility, tell me about it.
Ooh, okay. You don't get asked that question too often. What's your least favorite responsibility?
I got to know what you like and what you don't like.
Well, I do have to say that it's funny, and this is not on purpose to compliment you, but it is to compliment you. So you're welcome in advance. I would have to say that, once enough momentum, I've been involved with 3 different tech startups in my career, and once the momentum starts to really get going, and like I mentioned with CoinSource, wearing multiple hats, especially in a bootstrap startup. It's difficult to jump out of a project or a task or responsibility and onto another one without sacrificing a little bit of that momentum. And so I've always loved partnering with, quality recruiters to source talent for us once we got to a certain size, just because it takes a lot, and I commend you and your team for it. It takes a lot to search through the haystack for that needle, and or the coal for the diamond, right? And so you've saved so many, and what you all do, you save so many companies, so many employers, so much time and valuable resources, because they can focus on their areas of responsibility. If you get hired to head sales for a company, they want to see sales just continue to do this and this and this. They don't want you to say, well, I've got to pause because I need to, we're growing, which is a nice problem to have, right? I call it like having a flat tire on your Ferrari. Nice problem to have. And but you lose that, like I said, you lose that momentum. So I would say that once I learned that there were firms such as yours, I mean, that's it's one of those, like, please give it to them, like, thank you so much. So that would probably be it.
I mean, it's been great working with you and supporting you. I'll be honest, if someone in the audience does not hire you, Derek, I'm hiring you. I mean, you and I have been working together for about a year. We've gone through multiple iterations of your resume. We've done a lot of networking together. And I'm just really excited to have you on this platform to bring even more value to your search. Now, going back to you a little bit, leadership. First off, what was the most amount of direct reports that you've ever had?
I had 15 direct reports with CoinSource, in multiple departments, from sales and BD. I'd say, that's kind of a hybrid. Marketing. I grew the marketing team from 0 to, we had a team of 5 dedicated just to marketing. And obviously I had to oversee aspects of customer support, just because, part of our franchise model, when independent operators wanted to own their own Bitcoin ATM network, some of the things that I created to monetize for the company and to offer for our franchisees were those a la carte options. Like, do you have a customer support team? No? Okay, great. Well, we can offer that for, an additional, cost. Do you have a marketing team, or do you want to do your own marketing? No? Okay, well, we can offer our marketing services for you. And so it was great from a business standpoint, just because, again, those are monetizable features. But I had to obviously sell that, and I had to make sure that if there were issues with those, white label franchisees, networks and markets, that our customer support team that was allocated to service them was, they were on the up and up, and they were obviously making sure that everything was handled. So I'd say customer support, compliance, sales, marketing, business development, those were all the different departments that were reporting directly to me, both from in-house, from CoinSource's own network, as well as our franchisees networks as well.
Wow. Do you like managing people?
I do. Yeah, I do. It takes, look, as companies grow, sometimes responsibilities and roles can, and I've seen it happen, can outgrow an individual. Sometimes they may be the perfect candidate for, a certain size company or a certain size team, but as responsibilities grow, as demand grows, and what your, the senior leadership expects from you, the expectations grow as well. And sometimes that, people are cut out for it, sometimes they're not, and that's perfectly fine. It's all about, how you strategically place your talent and your staff, as well as yourself. And so management for me, I've always had an open door policy. Let me help you, right? Jerry Maguire. And so that's that's always been our biggest resource. When COVID hit and we shut down our offices in Fort Worth, Texas, and we did remote working, you hear the horror stories of so many companies having, their employees kind of ghost them because they just weren't able to adjust to remote working.
Mm-hmm.
And with CoinSource, when that happened, we had our record-setting years just because we hired trustworthy staff. We knew they were passionate about us. They respected us as the senior leadership, and we thrived in that kind of an environment because we didn't have to worry about that micromanaging. Even though, yes, you could say the title. I managed this this team of people. However, it was more, we always looked at each other as equals, regardless of title, just because of that respect factor and the fact that, I invested my time and resources into helping them grow not only within the company, but their knowledge as well. And so, the ROI on that is you've got a great staff that is loyal to you. They're loyal to your company, and, they're in it for the long haul.
Love it. When it comes to your leadership style, do you prefer to be more in the weeds or do you want to be more strategic?
I think that you need to be strategic in the weeds. So, back to the nice problem to have. Technically you don't have any. Once you hit the ball out of the ballpark, so to speak, you don't have any control over the velocity and the momentum, right? So if you're just nailing it and you're going to be in the weeds, whether you like it or not. And it's how you handle yourself in there that really kind of separates you from the rest, and how you can have a sustainable growth pattern with that. And that happened with CoinSource, like I said, in a relatively short amount of time with no outside funding whatsoever. We went from one kiosk in Las Vegas to 2,200 in 46 states. I mean, that was that kind of a momentum path was just exponentially awesome. And so yeah, we caught ourselves in the weeds a lot of times, and it's if you're going to fail fast, get yourself back up and assess what happened and make sure that you learn from it and that you can kind of shield yourself and shield the company from those types of issues again. But it helps you being in the weeds. If you've never been in the weeds and if you've never had a struggle in your role or your responsibility, then you don't know what even your own capabilities are. You don't know what you're made of. And so I encourage people to, maybe every now and then take off, a little bit more than you can handle, bite off a little more you can chew, and kind of see what you're made of, because that's where senior executives, and senior leadership in your company, they're going to recognize that. It's going to help you in your own individual career path, just because before you know it, I didn't start off as the executive vice president of the company. But it's because of those issues that came up and how I handled it and how we were able to thrive from those situations that were unexpected that got me to that level. And I think that it's a great path for everybody to kind of follow.
Now, you're Central Time Zone in Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Correct.
Are you more of a morning person or a night owl? Can you work Pacific? Can you work Eastern? What's ideal for you?
Oh yeah, I'm up early in the morning, and I work. I'm all about quality of life and work-life balance. But I'd say I'm a nice hybrid of both. I like getting up in the morning early. I'm a coffee guy, and I love to kind of sneak away to the gym before the sun comes up, just so I feel good about myself during the rest of the day, regardless of if I cheat and have a cheeseburger for lunch. Yeah, I think nighttime is also kind of like your own Zen time. So that's where, I take care of high priority issues right away in the morning, high priority emails, high priority meetings. But that personal touch, that relationship management that I always like to fall back on with me, I've always liked it from the recipient side of it to get that, hey, I know it's, a little bit after business hours, just wanted to touch base with you, saw that, you reached out to me earlier, love to tee up a call or meeting with you, just that personal touch. I think that there's that sweet spot of like the evening time to where, recipients of that via email or even a text message, they really, really like that. And they feel that added value that you've given them in their lives.
Unless you're me and I'm texting you at 11 p.m. at night.
Well, and you know that I'm also up at 11 p.m., so that's perfectly fine. But pick your battles with that. I wouldn't say if you meet somebody today and they give you your contact info, and you have got this great idea for them, or you want to talk to them about potentially, coming joining their team or them joining your team. I'd probably steer away from the 11 p.m.s. You and I have worked our way up to that, with the year plus that we've known each other. But right out of the gate, I'd caution everybody else on that.
Yeah, I'm a night owl through and through. I mean, we have an entity in Hong Kong, so I work very closely with them, and there's a 13-hour time difference. So I've been up till like 3 a.m. over the past couple weeks, getting up at 7 and just rocking and rolling. So it's good to know that you value work-life balance, because I'm sure that's something that you value for your team. And, there's a lot of people that find that to be very important for their mental health. I personally have no work-life balance. I love it, but I'm a maniac. Sorry, back to you. So interesting question.
I can see. Is that your former? Are those like former staff of yours hanging on their heads hanging on the wall that couldn't do the no work-life balance? Did you just go ahead and taxiderm them and hang them up?
Yeah, don't tell anybody though.
they're disguised as animals, but those were actually former staff.
Absolutely. Okay, so interesting question. Let me know if you'd like an example about me. What is something that someone might, sorry, I've got to pause really quickly. So on this platform, we also have our Chief Marketing Officer, Teague, on the platform. I can see him. You guys can't. I just want you to know, with your bone comment, this dude was cracking up. I can see him laughing in the corner of the screen. Moving on. Something someone might misunderstand about you. Go ahead.
Well, that's a great question, and you know what? I think that question isn't asked often enough with the hiring process. So I'm going to talk fast because I love the question and I want to answer it, but I want to give a little bit of kind of preface to it.
The floor is yours.
When I said I built out our marketing team at CoinSource, there was a little bit of I don't want to say a battle, just because I've got my greatest mentor in my entire business career is the CEO of CoinSource, Sheffield Clark. He's just a great guy all around.
Great guy.
Yeah, you know him. And when we got to that point to where, hey, we need to build a team out, well, we're doing great right now. You're handling it. Everything looks great. And, which is an awesome compliment to receive, right? And anytime you get a compliment from your boss, hey, it's a blessing, take it. So there was a little bit of hesitation, just because we always like to run lean and mean from a budget standpoint to hire this team. So I thought outside of the box, and I didn't want to, rattle Sheffield and our growth path, but I knew that we needed to build a team. And so I'm going to pause there. I'm going to finish it. But to answer your question, people's, kind of what they may be uncertain about with me or whatnot, to answer your question, is sometimes I may come off as, intense, but it's obviously passion driven. And so if I'm going to do something, it's obviously from the heart and it's from passion. So I knew, okay, I've got one chance to impress, and then resuming back into the story to kind of circle it all back. I've got one chance to impress Sheffield, and I've got to do it on a budget. How do I build a team? How do I make sure that they're out of the gate, they're going to be a success? I partnered with a company that does this experiential learning with soon to graduate college students, business majors, finance, marketing, etc. And we had a great partnership with them for years. The first round was this marketing case competition, because they knew I wanted to hire marketing majors. And so these were, soon to be, like I said, fresh out of college students. And I got into the trenches with them. I built out this marketing case competition. It was 8 universities across the country with teams of 4 students per team. And it was 100 hours of research that they had to do for the company and the industry. And then they did, for their semester, this marketing case competition. I mean, could you imagine doing, hiring a firm like Deloitte to do 100 hours of market research for you? I mean, that's, we know that's a 6-figure invoice that you'd be receiving. And I don't think Sheffield would have been too happy with me if I handed over that kind of an invoice. But for, I mean, almost for free, I have to say, uh, to partner with this company, we did this experiential hiring as well. So after this marketing case competition, and we selected a winning team, we had a panel of judges. I sourced out, industry peers and executives to participate in the judging. It was so much fun. I was so proud of all the students. I mean, they all put their heart into it. And so that was one of the things that came up was like, Derek, you're so passionate about this too. And these students are trying to get a job with your company. And here you are just as passionate, you're not looking at it from above. You're in it with them and you're helping them. You're encouraging them to want to work harder and research more and be prepared for this competition. So by the time the competition came around and we selected a winning team, we had all four of them come on as paid interns for 90 days. And then it was really camouflage because we knew we loved them. We knew we wanted to hire them. But we just wanted that to see firsthand that personality fit, right? And sure enough, we were right. My level of involvement, that passion, that intensity, right? That some people might say, man, Derek, holy cow. It paid off just because after the internship, we gave them all full-time with benefits, obviously, job offers. And they were the most amazing team we could have ever asked for pennies on the dollar what it would have cost to do outside sourcing, outside talent, outside research. It was a blessing. So it only reaffirmed the fact that there's nothing wrong with being intense. Of course, I've had to polish my way throughout my career of how the intensity can come off. But I'd say that would probably be it. Sometimes I know my voice carries. Like I said, I give a lot of speeches. So sometimes if my audience is 2 or 3, my brain is saying, you're so passionate about this, so pretend your audience is 200 or 300. And so, that's been something that has been, like I said, polished along the way.
Amazing. I'll be very honest with you, Derek. I definitely feel your passion, and passion pushes us forward. So I think that's incredibly important. But when it comes to intensity, it's never been off-putting, and it's always been very guided and directed, your feedback. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And I feel like I know the answer to this question, but I'm just going to ask: introverted, extroverted, what would you say?
Unpopular answer these days, I think, but I will say extroverted and proud of it. I like to. Sales isn't for everyone, and in my opinion, I think you are born with it. I don't think that there's a class or a certification that you can get that will create a salesman, a saleswoman out of you. Of course, it can help polish and hone, sure, but you either have it or you don't. And I haven't met many successful salespeople that are true introverts. Now, there's times that we all like to kind of shut down and have our own, our me time, especially internally. But it's not a requirement, for the job to be an extrovert. But I think that's it's an added bonus. I mean, I would say I'd have to guess, like you said, you already think you know the answer. I think I know the answer with you. I'd say that you come off as an extrovert at least, but I think that your me time, you like to be that introvert.
Can't tell my biggest secret. Can't tell everybody that I'm an introvert.
You do have quite a large follower base, so all right, we'll keep that a secret.
Between you and I. I think it's interesting, from my perspective, being an introvert and being in such an extroverted job. I love being able to exercise those skills, right? I love being able to talk to people and learn about them. And I think the coolest part about my job is what I get to do is I just get to meet people. And if I were like a business analyst or a project manager or, DevOps, right? I wouldn't be, I mean, maybe, but I wouldn't be having the cool conversations that I'm having right now. Like, I just get to pick people's brains like yourself. I just get to ask them, what's the best advice that you've ever gotten? How do you manage a team? How do you mitigate micromanagement? Tell me about your project. I get all the inside info on what's coming up. I sign a lot of NDAs. And so I think it's interesting being an introvert in an extroverted position. I love it though, and it's great practice for me, and it's really brought me out of my shell. But speaking of best lessons, what is the best lesson you've learned throughout your career?
Well, circling back to being the extrovert, right? Know when to shut your mouth.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
that the best lesson is, especially when you're wanting the pen to touch the proverbial paper, right?
Yeah.
Um, is say only enough and not more, and know when to listen. It's more important to listen than it is to speak more often than not. And uh, it's such a valuable lesson to learn for
Yeah.
everybody. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you never talk to if you're customer facing or not, because this goes great internally in companies as well. Um,
Sorry if you can
you know,
hear that.
oh, no worries. Communication obviously is key, sure, but being strategic with your communication and knowing when to kind of just hold off and wait for the other person to respond or to start first. I like to say, it's like chess, right? Certainly not checkers. And so, know when to make your move. If you have an ask and you want to deliver that ask to somebody, be it a potential, prospect and a potential client, or you're asking for a raise, one of the two. Be strategic with how you come about it. Don't bombard with everything you've got right away and then just wait for their answer. I mean, you lead into it, but know when to listen. Listening uh, is so key, and it's also contagious. If you
Mhm.
show that you've got great listening skills, because people, especially people persons, you can tell when somebody's listening to you, just kind of waiting their turn so they can
Yeah.
talk, versus somebody who's genuinely listening to you.
Mhm.
And, that is the contagious part. When you show somebody that kind of respect, um, and just time, you're giving them their time to talk.
Yeah.
They're gonna obviously reciprocate that, and so it breeds healthier communication all the way across. So I'd say that's arguably one of the most valuable lessons anybody could have is you know know when to talk, sure, but certainly know when to listen.
Yeah. Speaking of listening, look at this. Kevin said, I wish I was in a position to start a company just for the sole purpose of hiring Derek. What a huge asset. He will be to the next company that's lucky enough to have him. Kevin, thank you
Oh,
so
thank you,
much
Kevin.
for
I
that.
appreciate, and he's another 5 a.m. club member, so I
Sure
like that.
is.
I like that. That's the best time to be in the gym, right? I'm telling you, it's not like rush hour there where it's chaos. I mean, for those people that do go to gyms out there, we all know that like the 4 p.m. to like 6:30 p.m.
Oh,
It's,
that's for the birds.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's chaos.
No, not
But no,
interested.
I appreciate that, that Kevin. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm here for. And I'd love to bring the value that has just continuously been built throughout my career, and now being considered like an OG in fintech. Just going on almost 9 years now in the industry. I'd love to continue carrying that proverbial baton that I have been as a product knowledge expert, as an industry um, expert, if you will, to the next company.
I want to talk a little bit about culture because culture fit is king. It's the biggest reason for turnover. So, what are we targeting? Are you looking for, a hectic startup, where we're wearing hoodies? Are you looking for a mid-sized company where processes and procedures are already in place? Do we want something more formal, like a Deloitte? What's your target?
So I would say, I shared that I've been a part of 3 tech startups from inception all the way to and through acquisition, and that is so much fun. Uh, I had a full head of hair when I before I got into the crazy, startups of chaos. So this is what, cautionary tale, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. But I love the startup culture. But I also have seen, there's the good, bad, and the ugly, right? Um, when the industry took uh, an unfortunate dive, with the FTX scandals and a lot of exchanges filing bankruptcy, and just a lot of, just really the masses kind of
Shame.
taking a step back with the trust that they
Mhm.
have, because unfortunately, and I say this often, the world will never run out of examples of bad people taking advantage of good things. And so, what those bad people did to the industry as a whole is they turned down that momentum. They turned down that trust adoption into this great technology and this great industry that Web3 and blockchain has produced. And a lot of companies, um, suffered from it, and unfortunately, mine was one of them. And so, what I'm looking for is a long-term home. I mean, I love investing everything I've got into a company, and the ROI on both sides is, I want to bring value, and I want to build value. I want to build a brand, and let's take it as far as we can. Having a healthy runway obviously is key. A great balance sheet is obviously attractive. So if money were no object, I would say let's bring on the startups. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of skill set that you can bring from startup culture and startup mentality, like that running lean and mean from a budgetary standpoint. So every CFO out there would probably love me. Um, bring it into a little bit more of an established firm, just because you're coming with fresh ideas, you're coming with things that maybe in a more institutional kind of a format, they haven't thought of. So you're bringing outside of the box ideas into a company. So I'm open to both. Something like you said at the end, like Deloitte. When you get to that size level, and there's nothing wrong with Deloitte, don't get me wrong. Um,
It's just
but
different.
yeah, there's, to your point about culture, and the word I used, institutionalized. There's, you won't see many changes in that type of a culture, right? To
Yeah.
where I think that everyone, and Kelly mentioned this too, about, she said in the comments, I think people can learn to become more extroverted. You don't grow by staying in your comfort zone. I think that those, you know, Deloitte style jobs and positions that you'll get, you're going to be stuck in a comfort zone, whether you like it or not, because you're not in your comfort zone, you're in their comfort zone. And so, no matter how well you perform, no matter how overachieving you are, you're in their comfort zone until they want you to be in somewhere else, to where you have so much more growth opportunity at a faster pace in smaller companies, newer companies, that they're, just because you got hired for a position doesn't mean that leadership isn't looking at you to see what more potential you have and where they could place you, and you provide them more value and they provide you more value. So I'd say everything below that institutional level is what I'm looking for. But the most important thing for me is, my tenure at jobs has been, 6.5 years at one, 7 at another, 9 at CoinSource. I don't like to bounce around. That's just not
Yeah.
me. And so I'm looking for a long-term home.
Can I share your resume on the
Sure.
screen?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me pull this up. Okay. So you are totally right. I mean, 2016 to present, right, at CoinSource, that's a very long time. And there's not many executives that are in crypto for that period of time. So that definitely makes you an OG. What I really appreciated about your resume was your key achievements. I mean, increasing the sales volume to 100 million in the first year. Results. That's all you're bringing is results. What would you say is your top achievement at CoinSource?
In addition to, over the course of, when we were just B2C, and then we were creating our B2B franchise model, once we brought all of our software development in-house, to year over year, increase revenue by over $100 million, again, year over year. So over $400 million in additional revenue,
Wow.
is has got to be, one of my brightest moments, if you will, and most shiny moments. I'm very, very proud of that. Once we, I co-architected our B2B model. Once we got that rolling, out of the gate, the expectation was to sign 2 clients a month for year one. And after year one, I had signed 64 clients. And that's something that, I loved that part of our business model. I loved selling something that I was already so passionate about, from kind of an internal standpoint, right, from our B2C model. But I loved being able to sell that, the fun and profitability, of course, and excitement that we were feeling as CoinSource, we're able to, in a kind of a turnkey white glove, concierge service, if you will, offer this to the rest of the world. I mean, I had, my neighbor became a franchisee. I had family members become franchisees, friends of mine, retired entrepreneurs, traditional ATM operators. Even a Hollywood actor. They became a franchisee. So getting to, educate them on the industry and how they can make money from this, and seeing their excitement and them saying, you know what, you sold me, I'm in, let's do this. That was a thrill. Just, in a hunt, you eat what you kill kind of hunter role in sales. It's great to get that, that win under your belt. So to get 64 wins in year one, I would argue to say that was my most fun accomplishment in my entire career.
Amazing. Then you were at, how do I say this company's name?
VIP Orbit.
VIP. Okay. I was going to mispronounce that. I wanted to make sure. I was going to be like VIP Orbit.
We got that a lot. I was not part of the branding on that one, but yeah, we were VIP Orbit.
Well, maybe you should have been. And you were there for a significant period of time as well. I mean, I absolutely adore your resume. I think you did a great job putting this together. The only thing that I would say, and this is for our readers or our listeners as well, is when you submit a resume, you want to bold things throughout your resume. So you want to bold like specific metrics and numbers, because that way you're controlling the reader's eye.
Oh,
right?
great,
You're
yeah.
getting 3 to 30 seconds to make an impression off a resume, right? So you want them to see what you want them to see. So that would be my only suggestion. Derek, I mean, it's been great to have you on. Is there anything you think we need to know about you?
Well, I'd say, and yeah, again, it's been great, and thank you for having me. To answer that question, I'd say that I'm happy to speak with anybody. I'm happy to just like what you do, Emily, help guide others that are in the same boat, looking for their next opportunity. But I'm most eager, just thanks to this blockchain brunch and your great idea of this new kind of a feature that you offer, is again, I'm looking for a new home. So anything that anybody could do, I'm greatly appreciative. It's a win-win for everybody involved. So yeah, I appreciate it.
So to wrap this up, if you are looking for a excellent marketing VP executive, Derek is your guy. If you're having a hard time,
sales,
I apologize. You're the guy. Derek is the guy to reach out to. If you're having a hard time getting a hold of him, reach out to me. Gladly make the introduction. We've got one comment before we hang up here, but Vasu would love to connect. So I'd love for you to meet him. And then we've got a suggestion here. We should open the topic on the UAE. The Web3 market here is crazy. Oh my God, so crazy. So I don't know if you heard earlier in the show, but we do have a Hong Kong entity mastering our APAC branch. So we're looking to expand continuously and globally. So yeah, that's kind of our plan there. And one last comment for you, Derek. We're rooting for you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Sergio.
And great to have you here, Derek. What's the best way to get a hold of you? Is it LinkedIn? Is it email? Is it phone?
LinkedIn or email are both great. So I'm sure you'll share my LinkedIn profile
Yep.
on this, but email is just my first and last name at gmail.com, Derek Muhney at Gmail. So either way is great, but yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to connect with all of you, and let's see where this thing goes.
Thanks so much for your time, Derek. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Emily.